All right, let's talk about grading the LA Kings during the pause. Now, before we get started, I just want to ask you to please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, which will alert you when my next video comes out, which will be about the Florida Panthers. Now, the last team I graded was the Minnesota, I almost said North Stars again, Minnesota Wild. I'm obviously shooting these videos in reverse alphabetical order, and I'll throw up some links up top here over the next few minutes of some of the other teams I've already graded. Now, the Kings have actually done a little bit better than I thought they would this season. I know that sounds weird, seeing as how they're like second last in the Pacific and all, but they had like a minus 60 goal differential or something last season, and they're only about like a minus 34 right now. So yeah, now throughout the season, they had maybe 1 month where they played really decently, with the exception of the end. They looked really good. Are you ready for this? They won 7 of their last games before the pause. Yeah, 8-1-1 in their last 10. Now, they only finished with 64 points, but it's 1 point ahead of the Sharks, who were in last place after making the playoffs last season. Shows you what a little bit of goaltending can do. Now, they're far from out of the tunnel here, but at least GM Rob Blake finally acknowledges that this team needs a retool. He started doing it last year, and he's continued to make some good moves this season as well. Now, the Hockey News has their prospect pool ranked 13th overall in the league right now. So LA King fans are really excited about the future. They should be. 3 of their top 10 prospects had a few cups of coffee with the team. I'm talking about defenseman Tobias Bjornfoot, centerman Gabe Vilardi, and centerman Jarrett Anderson Dolan as well. Now, let me throw some stats at your face. Starting with the specialty teams, their power play was 26th, their penalty kill 24th. Used to be a lot better a couple seasons ago. But yeah, whatever. They've changed coaches how many times? Anyhow, wins, 27th in the league. Points, 28th. Goals for, 30th. Goals against, 13th. Now that's better than 5 current playoffs teams, believe it or not. Shots against per game. They're actually 5th in the league, only allowing 29.7 shots per. And there are exactly 4 playoff teams ahead of them and 4 playoff teams below them. Thought that was a funny stat to look at. Shots for, they sit 4th in the league at shooting 33.2 hot pieces of rubber at the opposition. Face-off win percentage, 8th. A little surprised at that too. That's impressive. And yeah, so let's talk about some trades next. Some of the key ones, anyways, that Rob Blake made starting on February 5th, 2020. He traded goalie Jack Campbell and tough guy Kyle Clifford to the Toronto Maple Leafs for Trevor Moore, a real good third line plugger, energy guy, and they also got 2 third-round picks out of the deal. But one of them will turn into a second if the Leafs re-sign Kyle Clifford. They also traded Tyler Toffoli to the Vancouver Canucks. He started doing really well there too. But they got they landed some a good package for him, getting Tim Schaller, Tyler Madden, who's now ranked 5th in their prospect pool. He's another centerman, 5'11", and they got a 2nd and a 4th round pick out of that. Now, then they traded on February 19th. Alec Martinez, of course, went to the Golden Knights. He did well when he got there, too. And they got 2 second-rounders out of that this season, this draft and next. And then lastly, they traded defenseman Derek Forbort to the Calgary Flames. Sorry, I had a bit of a brain fart there for a second. Moving on. Injuries. They don't really have any. I mean, Jeff Carter had a lower body injury that he suffered on February 18th, but he's not on the IR. They show him in the lineup, so they should be good if the regular season continues. Now let's talk about some of the players, specifically starting with their goaltenders. And let's begin with Jonathan Quick. In 42 games this season, he had a .904 save percentage. Not bad, considering in 46 games last season, he had an .888. The season before that, in 2017-18, which is last season, the Kings went into the playoffs. He had a 921 save percentage. And in the playoffs, although they got swept in 4 games, he had a 947 save percentage. Now, he's 34 years old. He'll be 35 in January. I'm not sure he's going to bounce back to like 920 plus kind of numbers, but I don't doubt that there's something more for him to give. Now, he's making $5.8 million for 3 more seasons after this one. I would say it would be a bit of an anchor if they had to re-sign Campbell, but now that he's traded and Cal Peterson is making like pennies for the next 2-3 seasons, I think they're good, right? Speaking of Cal Peterson, he actually only played 8 games this season. He was brought back up after Campbell was traded, and he had a 922 save percentage. In 37 AHL games, he was a 906. Last season, when he played 11 games, he was a 924. This looks like the goalie of the future here. And having a veteran like Quick, maybe they could platoon those games over the next season or 2. We'll see what happens in the Seattle draft. Maybe they grab Quick. I don't know. Maybe he's a little bit too much and too old. But, yeah, there's that. Now, let's move on. Let's talk about the defense here. Starting with their top 3 point getters. Doughty, right shot defenseman, 30 years old, 67 games. He had 7 goals, 35 points. Most of any D was a -16 though, although he plays 25-49 a game. So you got to give the guy a bit of a break there. Now that's second in the league in average ice time minutes. And obviously he leads all Kings. And he also plays on the power play, and they throw him on the penalty kill when they need him from time to time. So, yeah, that's my phone buzzing, and there's nothing I can do about it. That's one of my brothers. I'll call you back! Now, next up here, I got right shot defenseman Sean Walker, 25 years old, played all 70 games. Had 5 goals, 24 points, he plays the penalty kill and the power play, second power play, is a -12, plays 18.50 a night. See where Doughty plays so many of these minutes, and he allows some of these younger kids to kind of gently, get into their game. Now, the third one on this list is Roy. He's 24, even younger, also played all 70 games, 4 goals, 18 points, +16. Best on the team, yeah. Averaging 18.07 a night. Now, I wanted to quickly mention some other ones, starting with Michael Anderson, a 20 years old, although he'd be 21 in late May. He's another left shot defenseman. He's 5'11", just under 200 pounds. He played 6 games, had 1 goal, was a +4. So we'll see where he'll fit into the lineup next season as well. So far, so good. In 53 AHL games, he had 3 goals, 15 points, -10. Some players just do better in the NHL. Next, let's talk about Tobias Bjornfoot. I mentioned him earlier. He's the Kings' ranked 2nd overall pick. He's also ranked 32 overall amongst the best 100 draft picks in the NHL. He's one of those good two-way defensemen. He's not too flashy, but he gets it done. He just turned 19 not too long ago, so he was 18 throughout the whole season. He only played 3 games with the Kings. No points, -4. In the AHL, though, in 44 games, 6 goals, 19 points, +13. And he's got some good numbers for in the World Juniors and stuff like that as well. And even in the SHL. So there's that. If he doesn't make the team next season, which I think he might, I would definitely say the season after that. Maybe they even, bring him up, for 20 or so games. We'll see what happens. And yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about the forwards now. Starting with the Kings' top 3 point getters. Kopitar, of course, is number 1. He's 32 years old. In 70 games, he's got 21 goals, 62 points, leads the team. Played all 70 games. Wow. Now he's a +6, which is second on the team on plus minus. It's quite a big difference. +6, +16 from Roy. But he's first on the forward list in terms of that, and he averages just over 21 minutes a game. Ian Follow, he's second on the point list. He's only 26, played 70 games, 17 goals, 43 points, +1. Plays 18.56 a night. And then, of course, the veteran Brown, 35 years old. He's third, 66 games. He had 17 goals, 35 points, -1, averages 18.24. Now, Tyler Toffoli would have been second on this list if he wasn't traded. This season, he's played 68 games between the Canucks and the Kings, and he's got 24 goals, 44 points, and he's a -1 between the two, but he's a +3 with the Canucks, a -4 with the Kings. Now, some other forwards I wanted to mention who've been in and out of the lineup: Carl Gunstrom, who they picked up in the Jake Muzzin trade, hasn't been able to stick so far. Now, this season he only played 13 games. Had 4 assists, +2. In the AHL in 40 games, he had 12 goals, 28 points, +1. He's one of those gritty sandpaper kind of guys, third line guys, maybe fourth line, gets into the corners, gets in front of the net, that kind of thing. Maybe doesn't put up too much points, but he's an energy player nonetheless. Similar to Trevor Moore, but bigger, really. And then last season, when he came over from the trade in 15 games, he had 5 goals, 6 points. It was a -4. So we'll see how he integrates perhaps next season. Gabriel Velarde, who I mentioned to you already, sits 6th overall in the Kings prospect rankings. He's a centerman. He's 20 years old, but he will be 21 in August. He is, I mentioned him as a center, 6'2", 185 pounds, and in 10 games with the Kings, he's had 3 goals, 7 points, 0 in the plus-minus category. Not shabby at all, I must say. And in 32 games in the AHL, he had 9 goals, 25 points, +4. I could definitely see this guy. I think his position with the Kings is solidified by now. Next season, it should be a given. And I also wanted to touch on, excuse me, that was a silent burp. Be lucky. Jarrett Anderson Dolan, another centerman who I mentioned. He was ranked 9th out of their top 10 prospects. He is 5'11", 188 pounds, turns 21 in September. In only 4 games, he had 0 points, -1. But in 53 AHL games, he had 8 goals, 28 points, -3. He also played 5 games for the Kings last season, 1 assist, -2. We'll see. Maybe he needs another season or 2 of marinating. We'll see how that goes. And lastly, I want to talk about Nikolai Pro Horkan, the player they signed out of the KHL last offseason. This is his first one with the Kings. He was making $925,000. He's 6'3", 190 pounds, who plays center and left wing. Did I mention he'll be 27 in September? Anyways, in 43 games with the Kings, he had 4 goals, 14 points, -6. Maybe he didn't adjust as well as they would like so far in the North American game. He had some pretty good numbers with St. Petersburg in 2018-19. In 41 games there, 21 goals, 41 points, a point a game. It was a +27. Do they try him out one more year if he'll take the same amount of money? Hey, why not? If you're going to shove him on the 4th line anyways, unless he's taking away prospects, spot, who you probably wouldn't want to just give him, 10, 11 minutes anyways, right? So there you have it. How do I grade this team? I'm going to give them a D-, mostly based on their position and how they've been doing. But they finished off really well, and they have a very bright future. I see playoffs maybe in another couple of seasons or so. As always, I would love to hear where you think or what you think they should be graded in the comment section down below, especially Los Angeles King fans. And yeah, there you have it. Thank you, everybody, so much for your support. Before you leave, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And please stay safe in this crazy world we're living in right now. And I'll see you soon.